What's up, spectators? Welcome back to an episode of Chaos Child. We're still waiting to hear back from the main character, because he's in the police station, but for now, we're here with whoever's left, the rest of the newspaper team. She could tell that she was walking slower than usual. Essentially, Caruso was lonely. She remembered what she'd said to Miyashiro when he woke up in the clinic.
名前で呼んで。家族なのに名字で呼び合うのはおかしいでしょ。
In the end, he...
あの子は特別が気取りたいだけなんだから。
She knew why, she supposed. The event that had caused him to leave the dorm was still bothering him. What's with the echoing? It's... I wanted water. I could still feel the sensation of the dead woman I touched when I'd fallen on my hands, and I wanted to wash it off. I wanted to wash my face, too. The wind from the flames had blown something small into my eye, and it itched badly. I was thirsty. Sarika was on my back and showed no signs of waking up. My legs were at their limit, so I forced my way through the crowd and sat down on a tire that had rolled nearby. It smelled like burning rubber. I didn't have the energy to apologize to the people I ran into, and they didn't have the energy left to complain. I slowly brought Sarika to the rest on my knees and looked around. I saw an orange light. The light to the fires reflected off of many things. It was pretty, I thought, before I realized how inappropriate that was. For some reason, I started to count the bodies on the ground, not knowing if they were alive or dead. But in less than 5 seconds, I'd gotten way over 10 and realized how futile it was. I stopped. Shibuya Station was utterly destroyed. The 107, only a few minutes away by foot, was ruined as well. 5 whole hours after the earthquake, the chaos had only increased. There were fewer people out walking, but I wasn't sure if that was because they'd reached safety or simply collapsed from exhaustion. I saw someone carrying his own severed arm in a convenience store bag. I saw people ignore a barefoot woman as she cradled a baby whose head was smashed in. Some had outright given up on sanity and were flinging things into the fire. A group of middle-aged salarymen were dragging a young girl into the darkness. A young man went to join them. There was no other way to describe it. This was hell. Sarika moaned a little in my lap. I slapped her cheeks to wake her up. Her face distorted in agony. It was okay. She was breathing. She was okay. Instead of answering, she just moved her eyebrows a little. I swore and lifted her up on my back again. She didn't seem to be that badly hurt, but this kept happening. I read on Twitter, I hate saying that, I'm gonna say Twitter. I read on Twitter, I'm not gonna say Tweeter. I read on Twitter that the general hospital in front of Yoyogi Station was accepting patients injured in the earthquake. I didn't know that it was true, but I had no choice but to go. It had to be better than the hell that was Shibuya.
死ぬなよ。
I yelled, unsure if Sarika could even hear me, and started walking. I just needed to get to the hospital. Kind of memory is that? Experimentation. Is that what's going on? Are you telling me that orphanage wasn't an orphanage and there were experiments done? Or was it the hospital where the experiments were being done? Experiments were being done, I tell you. I leapt up. I quickly glanced to the left and right as I tried to calm my racing heart. I saw that I was in my own bed. I felt exhausted. I also felt really thirsty. Maybe it was because I had the dream again. I searched around until I found the bottle of water by my bedside, took a gulp, and then grabbed the phone off my bed to check the time.
0時17分。もう日付変わってるのか。
It was around noon when the police had let me go from Shibuya Station with a warning. I'd gone home and gone straight to bed, so I would have been out for more than 12 hours. This was no good. Maybe I'd slept too long, or maybe I hadn't slept enough, because my head felt like it was filled with lead.
いや。
No, maybe not. I put my hands up to the thin light that was coming through the window and checked their color. They were the same as always. There was no blood on them. I felt a little like throwing up. I hoped another drink of water would help, but it didn't.
くそ。
I thought for a moment, and then decided to turn on the room lights. I turned on the laptop. I ran a search for urge to vomit, lesson, foods, drinks. The internet gave me page after page of results. I checked a bunch of pages, just like you're supposed to when you're looking something up.
生姜か。なら源さんからもらった葛根湯があるか。
I looked under the sink until I found a kakonto powder, then poured it into a cup and added some hot water from the electric kettle. It had a strange smell, unlike anything I was used to. I took a sip. If you look on his stove right there, that is clearly not an electric kettle, unless he's telling me he has 2 kettles. I could tell that my hands were shaking a little as I held the cup. God damn it all. It wasn't the first time I'd seen a body. I checked the phone again and saw that there were several messages from Sarika and Kurusu. I went to answer but stopped. They were probably still up, but I didn't feel like talking to anyone. It felt like the air I'd breathed in at the Love Hotel yesterday was still deep inside me. Along with the cheerful melody of the music box and the red that covered my vision. I felt something strange on my cheek and put a hand up to feel it. It was a bandage. I'd gone to some kind of clinic at the police station where they'd put it on. They told me I must have hit my face hard on the floor when I'd passed out. I was unlucky enough to scrape my cheek against a piece of the shattered glass. Thankfully, it wasn't a big wound. It barely hurt at all. But it itched like hell. And each time it itched, the shock I'd felt came rushing back and quickened my pulse. The danger was long gone, but I still couldn't forget the terror. Had I almost been caught up in something horrible? No. I was fine, right? I wasn't like everyone else. I wasn't an amateur. I'd gone through that hell I'd just dreamt about, and survived. Maybe having that nightmare again was good for me. I managed to force down the urge to vomit, then clicked away at the computer. I opened my computer's TV program, changed the channel to a news program, and watched it on my monitor. A few months ago, I'd bought a USB TV tuner off of a homeless guy who had no idea what it was worth. All it cost me was dinner at a local restaurant. Just like I thought, there was an article about the events 2 days ago. All they said was that a man's body was found in a Dogen-zaka love hotel. They didn't say whether it was suicide, murder, or just an accident. There was nothing about the girl who'd been found at the scene. Or about me and Sarika. I see.
やっぱりこんなもんなのか。
I'd never experienced for myself the gap between what happened at a crime scene and what was reported on TV, but it didn't really surprise me. These days, the internet was a lot faster at reporting things than TV. To people who followed the news online, TV wasn't a place to learn new things. It was where you went to see if something you'd heard about was so important that it was getting TV coverage.
ネットの大衆はどうだ?
I closed the TV program and opened a browser. Nikoniya News had something on it too. I clicked on the uploaded video.
渋谷でまた事件です。最近の渋谷では今回の件と合わせて3つの物騒な事件が発生しているんですが。
This guy was famous for charging into crime scenes to get scoops. Lately, he seemed to be getting a little too cocky. He explained what had gone on at the Love Hotel as the video showed pictures that he had probably taken himself.
いずれにせよ、警察は何か隠していると思います。ただ変死体を発見したとしか発表がなされていませんが、それにしては。
And then, like always, he started to mix in his own subjective opinions with the news. He was right, the police were hiding something, but there was little point in listening to the rest of this. Vague information would just get in the way.
大衆もこんなもんか。
I mostly ignored Watabi's voice as I looked at the video on the screen. He must have gotten it by charging into the hotel room.
なんだったんだ、あれは。
A man was strangled to death in his room. There was an unconscious girl and a police officer there as well. The girl was the most obvious suspect. Even if she chose the strange way to do it, she still must have killed him, right? No. If she had definitely killed him, then they would have announced that. She was arrested just like I was. Over 30 hours had passed. Even if they'd found out she was innocent, they should have announced it. The police believe that the girl with him may know something and are proceeding with their investigation, like that. Did the police think that she didn't do it? Then what was she doing in that room? And even if the police had told me during the interrogation that I had imagined it, I knew what I'd heard. Someone else had visited that room and knocked on the door. The sound was eerie and always had the same rhythm. I felt a cold chill and idly turned toward the door. Oh, God, not again! Stop! What the... Oh, God. They make... Because it's L2 or L1, whichever... It's one of those, and one is a fast forward. So I keep pushing fast forward. Now I gotta go back and read it again. Okay. I felt a cold chill turn towards the door. My room was the same as always. There was no sign of anyone approaching it. I listened carefully to see if I could hear anything outside. Nothing. I bet if it's the negative, you probably hear the knocking, I bet. I just heard a knock at the door, right? I couldn't believe it, but I'd forgotten to lock the door. I froze as it swung open from the outside. Someone was here. Who? I knew 2 people who would come in without waiting for an answer, but was it okay for me to just stand here? I gulped and spoke in a hoarse voice. poking through the gap in the door was.
タク
Someone I knew well.
よかった。起きてた。
Relieved, I staggered over and sat down on the bed. That hadn't done my heart any favors. For some reason, Sarika was standing at the entrance, fidgeting. She didn't try to come any further in.
どうした？こんな時間に女の子一人でここに来るのはあんまり良くないと思う。
I didn't think any of the homeless in this park were bad people, but someone who was hard up for money might attack her. Especially after what I'd seen. I felt like I was going to start imagining things I didn't want to visualize.
タクは大丈夫？
何が？
昨日あんなことがあったから。
Honestly, not really. Was Sarika going through the same thing?
家に一人でいると昨日のこと思い出しちゃうんだ。それで怖くなって眠れなくて。
尾上。
ねえ、私一人でいるの嫌だな。今日だけでいいから泊まらせてくんない？
I knew exactly how she felt. Just having someone you knew next to you was enough to make you feel a lot better. Take me, for example. Having Sarika here was letting me relax a little.
いいよ。
I'd have to sleep on the floor, I suppose.
ありがとう。
Sarika must have felt better when she heard my response, because she looked like she was about to cry. She sat down right next to me on the bed. Why was she sitting next to me? There were other places to sit. But when I looked closer, I saw that her shoulders were shaking a little.
昨日のことが頭の中に焼き付いてて。
尾上。
It was natural, I supposed. Sarika was a girl, and she was younger than me. Seeing something like that must have been a huge shock to her. It was my fault for getting her caught up in this. As I started thinking about that, she put her head up against my shoulder.
タク、一緒にいて。お願い。
尾上はもっとずぶといだろ。
Of course, in reality, Sarika would never let me see her being that vulnerable, and she'd never actually come to visit. Was she okay, even if I wasn't? Maybe she was just fine. She was probably just dense. Yeah. I was really delicate, so in a sense, I was jealous of her. I sighed a little and locked the door. That's right. Crap. It was a new day.
ネットの知識者はどうだ？
I quickly opened another site. Shibuya News. This was the private news site I trusted the most. It was always updated at midnight, every day. The quality of the news and the reliability of its updates made it far more useful than TV or the mass market sites. Online news was faster than TV, but of course, some sites were better than others. There was no end to the number of wrong-siders who would treat the net as a single entity that was the opposite of TV. The TV says one thing, but the internet says something different, they'd say. If you ask me, they were utter morons. These days, even a lot of the larger sites online aim for the same mass market the TV news did. It was critical that you find out for yourself which sites you could really trust. Just like the name implied, Shibuya News dealt with the goings-on around Shibuya. It was similar enough to our newspaper club that everyone in the club knew about the site and used it regularly. Its owner, Kei, was, how to say this, very skilled at getting and sharing information, and seeing its effects. She carefully calculated when to send and when to receive information. A lot of child and grandchild sites use Shibuya News as their parent site. Most of them were privately run news sites as well. As a result, a huge number of people saw the information that Kei spread. To put it more unkindly, Kei was manipulating them. Anytime Kei wrote about a popular shop among high school students in Shibuya, or a free smartphone app, I would hear people at school talking about it within a few days. Take, for example, the Twitter user that most of Hekiho Academy followed, Hekiho Bot. It described itself as a bot by Hekiho students, for Hekiho students, but from the number of times it would show up on the Shibuya News, my guess was that it was actually run by Kei. Kei was one of the few people I recognized as a right-sider. When something important was going on, first you check the TV shows to get the basics, then the mass market sites to see what the net was saying. Then you'd go to Shibuya News for the latest information. This was the way of the newspaper club, and myself specifically, would always look for information.
やっぱり放送してるか。
The quality of the news wasn't the only reason that Shibuya News was popular. One reason was that Kei appeared to be a girl. When someone was thought to be a girl in real life, they got a lot more hits than someone who was thought to be a guy. And the other reason was...
耳直しにお送りしたのはファンタズムの在家に契約の血をでした。
this radio broadcast. Whenever there was something big she wanted to report on, she'd always do an internet radio broadcast. It offered proof that she was a girl, her voice calm and pleasant to the ear. A lot of people just listened to her broadcasts. The audio from the leaky noise case that I'd played from Karusu had actually been modified by Kei to be easier to understand.
さて、普段かけないファンタズムさんの楽曲をかけたのは理由があります。昨日、ラブホテルで20代の男性が変死していた事件、ご存知ですよね。ニコニアニュースで相変わらず渡部さんがお元気に喋ってくださってますが。
I chuckled a little. His glory hogging was a running joke among Nikonia News viewers.
一つ、彼は気づいていないことがあります。ファンタズムさんが先ほどの楽曲を発表した6年前、渋谷で何が起こったか皆さんご存知ですよね。そう、渋谷地震です。でもその前に世間を賑わせていたのはニュージェネレーションの狂気と呼ばれた連続猟奇事件でした。
I was startled. That's right. I'd forgotten after all that had happened at the Love Hotel. No way.
もうお気づきの方もいらっしゃいますね。9月7日のこっちみんな、9月19日のおともれたん、そして昨日、正確に言えばおとといですが、9月29日の変死事件、6年前の事件と日付が一致しているんです。
In that second, the Twitter stream that was linked to the broadcast lit up. It was overflowing with comments.
次の日付はヴァンパイアと呼ばれた事件が起きた10月10日。愛する渋谷にお住まいの皆さん、それでは今回はこの辺りでお付き合いいただきありがとうございます。時刻は間もなく2015年10月1日0時30分。悔いのない一日が始められることを祈っています。
She got me. That's right. That hypothesis was why I'd forced my way into the Love Hotel. And something had happened, just like I thought. After 3 such incidents, it was only natural to assume that there might be a connection. The new generation madness. Was it gonna happen again? I suddenly felt a pain in my cheek. I reached up and saw that blood was coming out from the side of the bandage. The cut must have opened. As I took care of it, the red blood on my fingers stood out. Without warning, I felt a horrible sense of dread, like I was sinking into quicksand. Usually I love to have a mystery to solve, but now that the case was definitely real, I hesitated. For the rest of that night, I wasn't able to do any more research about the case. New Generation Madness, holy shit. Aw, yeah, wow, it's real. Yeah, let the Carnival of Miracles begin. New gen, new gen. Something about earthquakes coming. Okay. The same time. Shibuya Police Station.
いい加減答えてくれないかな。名前と住所は？
Well, it's been 26 minutes. I would have liked to do 5 more minutes, but this seems like a particularly good place to end this video, and we can pick this up again next time. So, stay tuned for the next episode, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye!